Frontier, Becoming Your Own Spiritual Guide. Hi, this is Phillip Mountrose with my wonderful wife and partner, Jane.
Hi,
Uh,
everybody.
and this is going to be an exciting training discussion coming up here because becoming your spiritual guide, as you start to realize what that is, may be one of the most important things you can ever do for yourself. And we know some people are already there to some degree, but you can go much deeper. In fact, this is something that Yogi Berra said is having deep depth. We're going to go there today. And uh, spiritually, we've always approached our trainings and our life with that as a priority, but it's gotten deeper in recent years for Jane and me. And we want to go to these new frontiers continuously, which we have over our over 3 decade uh, time in the field, the professional field, not to mention just personally. And we keep going in the new ground and new frontiers. And I know other people attending and others are doing it uh, too. And it's getting to, we think, a tipping point, a critical point where there's this next new frontier for humanity as a whole. And we're excited that we're exploring this topic today and in a new program on that. And we really haven't shared much of the mystery schools. Going into a mystery school, we'll explain more what that is and how this relates directly to what we're discussing and to you personally, and learning practical skills and accelerating your spiritual awakening, which is all part of it. And uh, why haven't we shared so much? Well, the time really wasn't right. Now is, as we said, people are beginning to wake up. There's a movement, a shift, an opening. The veil is lifting. And it's holistic, of course. Everything is built inside of us, it's within us. And that's showing more of our true identities, our deeper identities as unique, magnificent spiritual beings, part of source, part of creation. Uh, and it's a wonderful transformational process, an awakening personally and collectively. And I know a lot of people feel lost and uncertain, and there's a lot of confusion and challenges and crises. And and that's why the Great Awakening is occurring. That's the natural environment, the cauldron of conflicts that are boiling up. That actually is the opportunity uh, to become a part of a community of higher awareness of people who are living and people on higher realms or beings, archangels, enlightened masters, higher guides, and more. And we want to discuss this more deeply today, Jane and I. And if you develop your own spiritual guidance further, we can pretty much promise you that your life is going to become a lot deeper, more meaningful. You're going to be able to help yourself more and many others as well. The world really needs it. Plus, stay tuned till the end of this webinar, this about 70-minute training, because we're going to do a powerful demonstration using spiritual guidance techniques, live demonstration, which is quite dynamic, spontaneous. Plus, find out how you can get a free personal oracle reading too, and we'll discuss that at the end. So that takes us to what is a mystery school, which is part of this awakening and the next new frontier and how to get there. Jane?
Yeah, we've felt for many years that our teachings were a mystery school, that there was a part that was very visible and then a part that was underneath it where people had the opportunity to go much deeper into their spiritual development and just really the awakening of the magnificence of who we all are. I think I wanted to just say hi to Sunny. I saw Sunny came. So it's wonderful to see you here too. And everybody, of course. For exploring a mystery school, I'm going to actually start where I start often when I have talks and do community gatherings and courses, with just taking a moment to connect with our own inner light. And I also would like to connect today with Archangel Metatron, who was the brilliant being of light, who actually was responsible for this whole kind of new phase that Philip and I have been experiencing, that we're going to described today, and as big is the basis really for a whole new training that we're offering in becoming your own spiritual guide. So for those who aren't familiar with connecting with angels, it doesn't take a lot. It takes that presence in your heart and a pure intent to receive from them, from your heart. So what we want to do is just, if you're in a place where it's safe to close your eyes for a moment and just breathe in love and light from all of the beings who are supporting us, and those divine beings of light above us. Just breathing in love. And this is one of the things that has been just so stunning to me connecting with archangels, is that the love, the depth of the love is almost indescribable. And with that, I want to invite in Archangel Metatron, who has been so special to me. He's one of the angels who is known to be closest to God, to our Creator. So he's a very bright light. And you can just invite him to surround you with his loving light, which sometimes is experienced as a beautiful, luminous, golden white light, or a luminous white light, just white. Beautiful, brilliant white light. And you may have your own experience, which is fine. Whatever it is right for you. You might see an image of him. You might just sense his presence. He might have a message for you. He might be welcoming you, as I feel now he's welcoming all of us at this time. All of us who are here live and those who are going to be joining us later. So just receive that welcome from Metatron. And his wish for all of us to open fully to the divine in us, the magnificence of who we are. And of course, just focusing on breathing brings you more into your body in the moment. So we're in that space now where we can come together and share. So thank you. And if that made you feel at all ungrounded, just also notice that you're grounded to Mother Earth, who also sends you great love. Just feel yourself being grounded. And that brings me to what has struck me as being important about mystery schools for many years, is the fact that they help us to answer life's biggest questions. The who am I, why am I here, and where am I going questions. They're the big ones that don't just come to us in a few easy moments, that are really a journey of exploration. And beyond this, they support us in learning to live from the perspective of our highest self, our unique genius, of what I was describing before, our magnificence. Something that has also amazed me with these beings is that they recognize us for who we are becoming. And the soul exists in many dimensions. We, at the highest dimension of our, and we're connected directly to God, so way up there, we are magnificent spiritual beings. And that's what they see in us. The part that we don't necessarily see in ourselves. And this is why it's so important at this pivotal time for us to go further in our exploration of it, so that we can embrace that more fully and bring spirit into form. I feel personally at this time that we are here to embrace spirit and live it here right on earth. Live in a communion, a state of communion with these brilliant beings who are always here for us, just waiting for us to open to what they have to offer to us. And it's interesting, we did just write a book about all of this. We call it Awakening to Your Magnificence, the next new steps for the next steps into the new frontier. Now I forget what is the the subline, Philip? Do you remember? We don't
It's
even remember.
your journey into the next new frontier for
Yeah, your
humanity.
journey into the next new frontier for humanity. which is something that's interesting to explore in itself. What does that mean? The next new frontier for humanity. A while back, I saw or heard a radio program on it when I was driving in the car one day, and we kind of encapsulated it actually in this quote from the book where we said many envision humanity's next calling to be tools or substances for extending longevity, perfecting their bodies, or increasing intelligence. But for those who are open to the vast realms of spirit, it's clear that there is more. To us, this is the next new frontier, opening to our true identities, activating our soul's light, and shining it out to the world. It's the time of the Great Awakening, and we're here to bring the truth of who we are as magnificent spiritual beings fully into form. And it's just fascinating to consider where this kind of an approach could take humanity if people were coming actually from their hearts and the truth of who they are spiritually. It would be a very different world. You know, it would include raising our awareness into the highest dimensions of reality, as I mentioned. And this is part of what we're exploring for ourselves and in the program that we're just starting to offer.
There's a copy of that book,
Right,
the new book.
right. It's as I mentioned, a communion with these other beings of actually recognizing how we exist in all of those different levels. It's also rising up to those higher levels and rising or opening more deeply into the mysteries within ourselves to shine a light inward into the depth of our divine nature, where we can change our frequency, and the angels, the archangels, and the masters who we connect with now really help us to facilitate that. As I mentioned, just being around the angels, it changes you, I think. And I know that there are people here on the call who I know personally who understand this from their personal experience. And it's almost indescribable. And there is the key, which I alluded to at the beginning, as the Swiss theologian Hans Urs von Balthasar noted, every mystery in life has its origin in the heart. So it isn't necessarily complicated, but it does challenge our beliefs. It challenges our perspective on who we are as spiritual beings, and opening ourselves, and then if we want to open as spiritual guides to other people, it requires restraint, you could say, as teachers of the mysteries or as guides through the mysteries, because we have to refrain from dictating our truth to others, meaning that even if we might be right, it's critically important in this pivotal time, especially, that we support others in finding the truth that exists within themselves, that we honor each other as the divine beings we are and help each other to awaken to the truth of who we are and the truth about life in general. You know, what are all the mysterious things that are surrounding us? You know, we're at oneness. We're in this place of oneness with nature too. We don't really fully realize it or make the connections that we could to receive cooperation with and from nature. But it's always there, just like the angels are always there and the masters are always there. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, just I think it's important to recognize, if you're involved for yourself or as a teacher or guide for other people, that it's disempowering for anyone who is in an authority position or for a psychic to tell us what the truth is when the truth lies within. I know I've had many experiences with people saying, well, I went to a psychic and the psychic told me I had this past life where this happened and that happened and I was this person and these things are true about me. And they'd say, what do you think? And I what I tell them usually is that I feel that that is limiting for people because what you want to do is discover who you are yourself. And one of the things that we did for that also is we connected in with the Akashic records, which is pretty amazing in itself. So there are all these things that are available to us that most of us are largely unaware of. So um, mystery schools are very experiential. I think that it's not a place where students go to have someone tell them what they should believe or or how they should behave, because it's all emerging from within us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think we've approached our I think our teachings that way all along, and it's really held up for us for 3 decades now, and we feel very pleased to to watch people grow into their divinity. It just is it's a magnificent experience, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity that I have had. And of course, also, even in these last few years where we've really been going into this, I've learned a lot myself and gone into places that really challenged me too, and I'm grateful for that. So
Mm-hmm.
um, it's a journey. It's a just a magnificent journey.
It's a journey. It is, and it's very experiential and interactive and hands-on, at least the way we experience it and teach it. And it
Right.
takes a certain motivation and interest, which, of course, if you're attending this, you're interested. And some of the things are all around us that we can externally see, as Jane was saying, nature, for example, and connecting more deliberately with nature, and then more invisibly, higher realms, archangels, enlightened masters, higher guides, and more, which, again, if we are interested and prioritize that and make a practice and have a trainings or connect with ways to use that in your life, it will flourish, it will grow, and it's pretty extraordinary, far exceeding our expectations. So let's go into what is a mystery school. And why are we talking about mystery schools, by the way, is because if you have an opportunity to be in a mystery school and you're drawn to it and it resonates, you will accelerate your evolution. It's a unique opportunity to take everything we're doing and what you're interested in and have a lot of support and magnifying it and accelerating in wonderful ways. So, what is a mystery school? Just to kind of define our terms a little bit more, there's 6 core elements I want to go through quickly here. Who are they for? Hmm. Well, um, they are for mystery schools or people, as I say, who want to accelerate their evolution in a safe environment for integrating more higher wisdom. And mystery schools have been around in Egypt, Greece, and other areas throughout history. And they integrate this esoteric wisdom, which sometimes is hidden from people in general, uh, for people who are ready to hear it. What makes mystery schools unique? Well, they uncover the mysteries, things that are beyond the obvious, beyond the rational, beyond the 3D, uh, beyond the mass consensus, the mainstream. And it leads to things which, using modern terms, we call self-actualization, like Abraham Maslow noted, and even further, self-transcendence. So you can experience the truth for yourself in your heart. And that means we're transcending teachings where the leader, Jane mentioned this, the leader holds the truth. This is a very common paradigm that people are beginning to question more. The guru, the master, the priest, whatever. So that's wonderful. And we all learn from teachers, and we may have really good experiences from gurus and leaders. However, there's that downside, that shadow side of them kind of controlling you in certain ways. And So you can't find the truth within yourself. You have to go through someone else and it's good to get mentors and spiritual guides who can help you become your own spiritual guide. So how do mystery schools differ from traditional and religious teachings? Uh, well, the genuine parts of religions and traditional teachings lead to the same place, to source, God, that we're all part of the source, right? Uh, now, and more enlightened approach, like a mystery school and others, they don't have dogma. Dogma is blind following. Follow the leader, and then you become the chosen one. If you follow me, you're chosen. You're better than other people. No one is special, though we all have special abilities and talents that as we embrace the mysteries, we can use them more productively to help ourselves and help our lives and be on our path and do what we're here to do in a higher level. So the next part is, how do you join? How would you qualify to join a mystery school? Well, in earlier ages in Egypt and Greece and such, you'd have to go through maybe a rigorous training or qualification. Nowadays, just sort of as a sense that the internet, everything is very available. Yes, everything is very available, but the good stuff is hard to find, and you have to discern it, and it's often knotted up. And the big end, you're not personally interacting with someone who can spiritually guide you uh, in something like a mystery training, who's been there enough to give you practices and the knowledge you need uh, and the support you need, rather than kind of doing a generic on the fly, just piecemeal thing, which will only get you so far. So, what are sources of the mystery school? Um, well, as I mentioned, they come from esoteric teachings throughout the ages, which really derive from the archangels, from ascended masters, people who have mastered life's lessons, being well-known beings: Jesus, Buddha, Saint Germain, Dwal Kul, Mother Mary, um, Kathumi. There are many others, Hilarion. There are many of them, and we connect with them in our trainings. These more divine beings, you can ask for their help and receive their help, and they give the trainings for this higher knowledge in the mystery schools. And last, the tools for transformation involves healing. You want to do healing, of course, healing wounds. That's sometimes called karma, sort of another way of healing trauma, and getting the activation part. How do you go further on your path? How do you activate what you need for your next step? So that's the 6 core elements of a mystery school. Uh, Jane, do you want to go further into how we at Awakenings spiritual guide program embodies the 6 key elements here that I've described that are very important for just
Yeah,
general and specific
yeah,
awakening?
yeah. Um, the first thing I think of with all of this often is Einstein, who said we cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking we used when we created them. Which I think that's such a simple and brilliant statement. You could say similarly, we cannot move into a more expansive reality. You could say the next new frontier for humanity using the same tools we've been using here. And even many of our spiritual tools have limits, and some can actually even be deviations from our true path. Um, so it really is about exploring, going into those places where we've never been before and find out what's actually occurring there. And another thing Einstein said, which I think is really beautiful, he said, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. And I think that in just in a simple nutshell sums up actually where we have a problem in society. So much of it involves opening to our intuition in different ways. And I wanted to say a little more about Archangel Metatron because he has changed my life in ways that I never believed could be possible. And it happened. It was a few years ago, at least now, um, I actually was having an angelic Reiki session. Someone was doing angelic Reiki with me. And as the session was closing, Archangel Metatron came to me, and he said that it was time for me to open to my full range of resources. And of course, I had no idea what he was talking about, but it sounded okay,
Sounds
and it
good.
sounded like something to explore. So, several days later, shortly thereafter, I sat down in meditation and connected with him, and he started to guide me. And this is the way it works too: is that they may contact us and tempt us with something, but they're not going to uh, guide us unless we have given them permission. In other words, we have free will. We can stay asleep and we can stay in fear as long as we want, and they won't bother us. But when we really want to open to awakening and we ask for their support, like I mentioned before, and I think many of you know already to some degree, one degree or another, um, it's incredible. I I just I can't say enough about how much it has changed me. I would say just tremendously, and I think as a result, I feel more alive, more excited, more engaged in life than I ever have been, I think. And I want others to experience the same thing, which is why we're offering this new program, which we've been testing these courses the last couple of years, and still are exploring more. But I think with Archangel Metatron, as I suggested, it took me on a journey of self discovery. It was more, and still is more, than I ever considered to be possible. Tracking all of my lives back to Atlantis. I shouldn't say all of them. That would take a long time, but tracking my most significant lives all the way back to Atlantis, where I had an experience that I was aware of for many years and just couldn't clear the horror of it, of being involved in uh, a healing temple, and then when Atlantis destroyed, everyone died, and it was just a really horrifying experience. And the trauma stayed with me until this time, when suddenly it was gone. But there was more for me to learn about it, and of course, more for I think all of us to learn about our true divine nature here, and even beyond our lives on this planet. Um, so there's much to explore, and it really does start with strengthening that relationship with your inner guidance and wisdom, which you could say is your compass for venturing into the new frontier. And then it also is about drawing on tools that can support you, which we're going to be talking about here too. Of course, the beings we've connected with, we started with the you could say 5 sacred resources. The first one being the archangels. And when we started exploring the archangels, I was trying to figure out, we had connected with angels lightly over many years, lightly compared with what's happening now. And we were trying to figure out how we could acquaint ourselves with them. And that's when we started using tarot and oracle card decks. And some people think that those, you can think, well, the teddy bear tarot or something, it doesn't have depth to it. But if you approach it as a sacred gift, it is a very different thing. And so we developed a way to meet with archangels, um, and started developing those relationships, which was really amazing. And from there, we went on to enlightened masters, which included ascended masters, uh, from this planet, and even beings, highly evolved beings from other planets who are instrumental in the great awakening that humanity is experiencing right now. Like Sanat Kumara and his twin flame lady Venus, who are from Venus. And if this is all kind of far out for you, that's okay. Like I said, all of this really challenged me, but there are beings from many places in the universe who are supporting us. And we too come from the stars. When you come right down to it, that's another thing that we've been exploring, and others who have taken some of our what we call beta courses have gone into places where they've discovered more where they've come from in the stars too. So there's just
Jane,
so much.
a note here too. So some of the things we're saying may be far out a little bit beyond the pale at the moment for you or not. But if they are, just keep an open mind. And if you've done past life work, which I know many of you have, then you know that a lot of it is more an idea or a metaphor or partially true. Because if I asked you to describe what happened to you last week, would you know every detail and it would be from your perspective? So the point I'm making, what he's talking about, is the essence. We believe the essence of what we're saying and the communications is essentially true. And if some of the details vary from person to person or shades of gray, that's fine. But the essence is the key part.
Right. Well, and like we've said, we're not expecting anybody to believe anything we say. It's all your own experience. And so we have in the new program, we have 3 courses. The first one is Abundant Living with Angels, Oracles, and EFT. We use angelic, what we call angelic EFT, some really wonderful ways to connect those two really beautiful resources together. Then there's spiritual transformation with oracles and the enlightened masters. Um, and then, as I mentioned, we also are surrounded by nature spirits. So there are 3 kingdoms that we discuss. So there are the angels, the ensouled beings like the masters that we're theoretically becoming, and then the beings of nature. So we also explored how nature is related to all of this. And it's something that's woven in through all of the trainings that we're offering, how we can connect with really magnificent. There are magnificent beings in nature, just as there are of angels and masters, and some are very, very vaguely, if at all, known, like the Elohim, and they're directors of the 4 elements of nature, who we also can contact. Then, along with all of that, as I mentioned, we went into the Akashic libraries, which is the soul's records for actually, you could say the past, present, and future, because the past, present, and future are all changing as we change. So nothing is fixed, but the Akashic libraries allow us to explore our origins, where we are now, the soul's path, why our souls came here in this life, just so many different things. So we have a course called Opening to Your Soul's Magnificence, Love and Joy with the Akashic Records. And that one was very life-changing for me. That was where I started discovering things that I had no idea I was going to discover. Because when we open to what, if we ask questions and open to responses, we start to hear things about ourselves that we didn't know. And I also have to say about all of this that the illusion that there's something wrong with us is that it's an illusion. The truth is that we are magnificent. So all of those feelings like, well, gee, there's something wrong with me, I'm not adequate, or gee, the angels wouldn't want to connect with me, do I really deserve it? You do. We all do. And that's part of the journey, is just being open enough to be able to receive all of these blessings from them.
Mm-hmm. So
And as I'm just going back, just mentioning briefly the tarot and oracle cards, um, if you look over history spanning from the centuries, again, going back into the mystery schools, etc., spiritual seekers have sought guidance and wisdom from people who were recognized as oracles. And in this time, what we're realizing is that we are the oracles. The oracle resides in us. And it is through these cards that we can connect in deeper ways. And what we found is that using we have special card spreads and techniques that we use that help people to make the connections that they want. If you have a question, you can connect with the oracle and receive guidance and wisdom. They're really wonderful.
yeah, it reminds me of Socrates, who was some people say was a channel, and I connected with famously with the oracle, a person in this case, like the Dalai Lama does today, an oracle who was a divinatory who gave him answers. But also, the Socratic message is dialoguing with higher beings and the higher parts of yourself and your soul. And that's what we believe and what we teach and what a mystery school does. Yes, you practice and you learn incredible things and wonderful things and sacred knowledge, but ultimately it goes into your being if you have the right situation, and it becomes you. It becomes part of you, and as Jane says, you become the oracle.
Right, right. And they're very fascinating. We did a brief oracle reading today using going into the four elements of nature. And we have a reading that we do with each of the four elements. And the one that was rising, you could say that's related to the dawn of the day, and the air element is freedom. That was the card that we drew. And freedom is the theme for the new age. And this is what we're all opening to, is freedom beyond what we've believed to be possible before. So it's that for us. And we had a whole reading with that. We'll probably share that one. We're going to have another webinar next week with an overview of our first course, and we'll probably share more of what we received in that reading. It's just for me an example of how simple and profound things can be. Like it's true. What is emerging? That's what's emerging for us. And if that's of interest to you, then then you're probably on the right track.
Yes, you are probably on the right track if you're here listening to this, and your heart probably is open, which is great to know too. And we want to discuss why this approach that we're describing can be so beneficial for you. It's rather mystical and magical and miraculous. And one of the sources that we use, we mentioned Metatron and the Archangel, and the Ascended Masters is here's a card of Melchizedek. You may have heard of Melchizedek, the Order of Melchizedek. He was a teacher of the mysteries with a vibrational signature. Some people considered him a teacher of the ancient mystery schools, and he was incarnated with different well-known beings, figures through history. And so part of this is you can channel or connect with the beings themselves. And I asked Melchizedek what his description of a mystery school. I thought he'd be a good expert to draw from. And here's what Melchizedek told me. I'll show you his picture as I'm reading what I channeled here. A mystery school is an order of spiritual business that combines structure with dynamic flow. It shows you the way forward and upward. It helps students spiral to their greatest potential. It offers the support and specific guidance needed for the individual. It is precise and adapts to the student and to the time of the teaching. The key to mystery schools is how to master yourself. Mastering yourself is accepting all that is and knowing the great love and divine order permeating everything. The guidelines of the mystery schools are designed for the particular group involved, and They guide one to be true to oneself.
Wow, that's beautiful. Philip didn't share that with me before, but that is really beautiful. Um, if you want to put up that picture one more time and maybe put it close up, this is one thing. If you get where his eyes are, you can see his eyes. We have these cards that we use, and if you look at Melchizedek, they're um, using these oracle cards. What we found, or what I find, is that just looking at them and gazing into their eyes, I feel that a real connection with them. So it's just a very simple thing, but it's very profound, and it becomes deeper as you go along. And you can see in the picture also there is the sacred geometry in the background. They're just beautiful. There are beautiful, if you're not familiar with Oracle decks, what's available now, there are some very profound opportunities to be guided and learn from them.
And let me show that picture again in case it wasn't being picked up here of Melchizedek and his eyes from the Cow Gray Oracle deck too. Keepers of the Light, beautiful deck that we use too.
I keep some. I have a bookcase right over here, and I keep some of those pictures right on my bookcase. They're so beautiful and amazing.
So mystery schools span the ages. To give another quote that echoes one earlier from Socrates: "Know thyself, and ye shall know the universe and all the gods." The gods are the higher beings that are connecting with us, and we become. When you connect with angels and masters, they consider us as equals, which is very uh, who me, and that's because they're seeing that divine spark that we're all connected to, and it's wonderful to have that feeling. And the spiritual guide program, just training, focuses on revealing that mystery as you go forward, step by step, at the right pace for you. And take for another ascended master, Jesus, that is well known. He didn't want people to
Well known.
follow. Yes,
You may have heard of
you may have heard of this guy. And so he didn't want people to follow him, as you know. And that goes back to this chosen people. He traveled to Egyptian mystery schools too in Egypt, and he found a blueprint for humanity by opening your heart and having this high love frequency and being able to connect with that. And Buddha too in the East, Buddha awakening, seeing the illusion of the physical world, which is something to awaken us. It's something to experience and to master different lessons and to awaken us to a higher reality. Because you need both. You need the awakening and the higher frequencies from the angels and the masters, and then you have your path, what you're here to do. You're not here just to be in sort of a blissful higher state, although at times that's wonderful and almost necessary fuel to take you into life's maelstroms and day-to-day challenges. And that's why we incarnate. We're here for a purpose, right? And in the mystery school saga, it went underground. It used to be something more common and accepted, but because of persecution and divisions by religions, people who would practice more esoteric, actually more spiritual teachings, were persecuted by the power authorities for power. Sounds like echoes today of people controlling people. And now the mystery schools are coming alive again with people's great interest in spirituality and personalizing it, customizing it, and self-empowerment, not empowerment by following another. And that's part of the new age, right? The age of Aquarius that's dawning, where people are going to be freer and more connected, and a lot of the restraints and divisions and left brain separations are no longer needed, although they have served us and developed a lot of science and technology in the meantime, which we can still use maybe more beneficially than at times we've been struggling with it. So the mysteries can be part of your daily life. And you can use that in everyday life. You don't have to go to a monastery. Yogananda, the famous yogi, at first thought he had to go to the Himalayas and mountains, and he was told by his gurus that he didn't have to do that. In fact, that wasn't his role to go into a monastery. And Jane and I met in a Fourth Way spiritual school in the 1970s, which was called the Fourth Way, instead of more the traditional ways of spiritual enlightenment, of devotion or big physical practices, or sort of mental studying scriptures and things. This was more in everyday life, to take the spiritual learnings and integrating them in your everyday path. Um, and that's what makes this practice, this way we're discussing, so beneficial for you
And exciting.
and exciting.
Yeah, like I said, I feel just so excited about life now, so engaged, um and it's like there's always something new happening, which is really wonderful, uh, to explore things that never even thought were there before, and then all of a sudden they are, and life becomes richer, and it's an adventure. That was another one of the cards that we got for the four directions, and what we're experiencing in the program is adventure. It's adventurous. It's like it is like being an explorer going into this new frontier, and it is a new frontier for sure.
Yeah, it gives you a rocket boost for your intuition. And I know all of you are more or less intuitive, but if you want to boost that and develop it, like if you're an athlete, you have muscles and you're probably somewhat muscular, but you want to train that and build that. And the same thing, and using oracles and this intuitive guidance approach really is a wonderful developmental tool.
Right. Yeah.
So we're going to do a
So
demonstration.
right. Yeah. So what we're going to focus on actually in the demonstration is aliveness. And aliveness, that's a term that we started using some years ago, which is really, I think, uh, generally you could say it's the same thing as what people call chi or life energy. That we are here to be fully alive, to feel fully alive, to be excited, and like I said, excited, engaged, uh, enthusiastic. And of course, then with that in mind, what we realized is that that is a good measurement of whether we're on the right track or not with something. And so uh, we're going to go through this pretty simple process, and Margaret has volunteered um, to be the recipient, and then you can all follow along with your own sense of aliveness, because what this does demonstrate something that I think is really important for us to recognize, um, while at the same time offering an opportunity to transcend limitation, which is another big part of all of this. And going to one of the places where we often go ourselves and take people to discover new things and the truth about things. That a lot of these processes are very simple but profound, and that's something that I appreciate. That I've always wanted the fastest and easiest ways to get places and to do things in speaking in a very spiritual way too. Um, and this I think what we're going to be doing here is really a very valuable process to go through. So Margaret, how are you doing?
Very well. I'm excited.
Oh, it might be hard to to
I
start in
know.
a low
Okay.
energy place.
Now, maybe. Oh, all right. I really need this.
Go from higher to highest. There's this phrase
well,
that
here
when you go to the top of the
actually,
mountain, you can then climb from there.
No, I have absolutely no uh, question that no matter where I start out, there's always someplace higher to go.
right? Yeah, that's so beautiful. And just if you take that then, and I would hope others here also feel excited and alive just talking about all of this. It's very enlivening to me. Um, but from that perspective, you said you were excited. What are you excited about?
Wow. Well, I mean, I am excited to be here and experiencing this. I was one of the people that did a couple of the beta courses, so I and like I had never really been exposed to oracles before that, or oracle card readings. I mean, I knew about them, but I hadn't done them. And I am now an oracle card junkie. And it's amazing to me how you can truly connect with your cards, and they
Right.
can
Yeah.
really give you insights into yourself or to other people. And I'm constantly amazed at how there's always something within each card that resonates with, because I do readings for other people now too. So
Wonderful.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing, how much deeper I can go in exploring all of this. And I didn't do all of the beta courses that are included in this, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, then just thinking about how exciting it is, and I would imagine your future feels good from this perspective.
Yeah.
That, well, just say you decided, well, this really, I don't know, people are criticizing me. I think I better pull back from this. I think I'm just not going to do this anymore.
You're bringing me down, Jane.
Right. Well, that's the idea. Yeah. And
that's actually yeah, that's a reasonable thing, because there are people in my life that don't quite agree or understand.
Most of us do have that.
Yeah, and so I try not to get mired down in that.
But say you just, if you imagine, say you decide, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to go back to kind of a more conventional life, no more oracle cards, no more angels, no more any of this.
No, I don't like that.
Well, if you were to imagine that, and you measure how alive you feel when you allow that thought to enter, how alive does that make you feel?
2.
And we measure usually on a scale of 1 to 10, and she said 2. So before you were very excited. If you go back to that that level of excitement, just say, oh, no, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to go, all the way to the mystical mountaintop. And maybe that's what we should do. Do you want to go to the mystical mountaintop?
Yeah, I would, because I would prefer to, because actually even just thinking about that and talking about the people and all of that, I can feel my energy just sort of crashing.
Right. So we're going to do that, and we can do it together. And for each of you, if you can just cultivate that thought for a moment of giving up on what you sense in your heart is right for you, whether it's this or it doesn't, whatever it is, whatever you feel your soul's path is, if you imagine giving up on it, and it kind of puts you down in the mud, which is that's an image that we often use with that, just like wallowing and just your feet can barely walk. Instead of doing that, we're going to go back, all of us. Are you ready, Margaret?
Yeah, very much.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so if you're in a safe place, you can close your eyes, and we'll start breathing in more of that beautiful love and light from the universe, all of those beings of light who are reaching to us today. We have a family of light, each of us too, and they're here, I'm sure, for each of us. Just breathing in lighter energy. So it becomes so light you can start to easily drift up or upward. Imagine that you're drifting upward. And if you sense any of that mud, you can just allow that to drift off down through your feet back onto the earth. And we're going to rise to a mountaintop. We call it the mystical mountaintop. That's way high up. It's so high up that it's above all of the mass consciousness thought forms that cause us to feel limited, that are trying to drag us down. So as you rise up, just rising up even higher through that atmosphere to a place where now start becoming more aware of yourself as a being who's part of the stars, and the mystical mountaintop is here, and the whole earth around you, the majestic view of the planet. You can just find a place. Can you find a place, Margaret, to settle on the mystical mountaintop?
I've gone way beyond the mystical mountain.
Where are you?
Interestingly enough, I didn't go to my normal place. I got into a cloud and just rode the cloud beyond Earth and out in I'm out in the universe, and it's beautiful out here. I mean, there's like colorful nebulas and energy twinkling all around. It's just fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
It's only one other time I've come to this place, so this is interesting.
Wonderful. Well, that's beautiful. So from this place, if you focus on those things that make you feel most alive and open completely to living from that perspective, how does that feel?
I'm a 9. I'm almost a 10. I mean, it's just, I think I would be if I just stay here for a while. I could actually feel, even when you were just saying, opening yourself up to it, I could feel like my heart opening up to just being up here with all of this. I feel like there's other beings around me, just flitting around, and those are like the energies that I'm seeing, and it's really quite beautiful.
So how do you feel then about living the life that makes you feel most alive, about that as a possibility?
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing it.
Really? Yeah, that's wonderful. And we all deserve that. We all deserve to do those things that make us feel alive, and to pursue the path that makes us feel most alive, that resonates in our hearts. And then if you go back just in your mind to where you were when you were at a 2 down in the dumps, to me, what I start to sense for people is it becomes a matter of life and death. Living with a vibration or an aliveness of 2 is not living, right? I mean, how does that feel to you in relation to really living?
Yeah, someplace I just don't. Actually, it almost at this point it feels like it's unreal.
Right. Yeah. Because
like,
you're not considering it.
Yeah, no, it isn't. I've been there, done that, over it. And
right.
This doesn't even seem possible with everything that I have experienced, and how I've grown in this last year plus or so.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So from where you are there any messages for you about your life or anything? Any guidance?
Well, the first thing that popped into my mind is that I'm on the right path. And what I am offering is my gift, and I'm doing the right thing. It's like I'm where I'm supposed to be. I feel so sure of that.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what anybody else says any longer. It really doesn't, and I also don't feel like I have to justify or explain. I just, okay, go about my business and be happy.
Right. Right. Yeah. So this is a place, you had mentioned you were here before, and you can come back to this place anytime. Is there anything else that you want to experience before we return?
Oh, I think I'm just really enjoying experiencing what is here. I feel so assured and cared for.
Right.
Yeah. It's really quite
and lovely. We all are. We're not alone. It's interesting, that idea that we're separate. It's an illusion. There is no separation between us and all these amazing things. The separation is just in our minds. And when we open, as Margaret is opening, we can just let all of that go and recognize what's really true for us. And that's what's important here.
Mhm.
And again, it's nothing that someone needs to tell you, because you know it in your heart and you can feel it in that aliveness. If you're blocking the aliveness, then there's something that needs to be healed, probably. And that can be done. And I think Margaret has done a lot of healing in the last year or so, too.
Right,
Yeah, absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
That was great. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Another way of
And wait,
framing.
I want to return, bring us back
Okay.
before, and then we can talk. So for everyone, just breathing in that lovely energy and realizing you can return to this place anytime you want, just recalling the sights, the sounds, whatever strikes you that you remember. And for now, we want to just imagine drifting back to our seats where we started. And again, as I mentioned earlier, just grounding yourself to the earth, feeling the love that is there for you also. We're in a perfect balance between heaven and earth here, equally supported. And then just breathing in light, more active energy now to return to your normal waking state. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And thank you, Margaret.
Thank you very much. I love that. Thank you.
That was great. Another way of framing it to begin with, which a lot of people might relate to this, is not an all or nothing where you forsake your spiritual path and your interests versus going for it. Is a lot of people are somewhat involved with this. It's sort of a metaphor like a flicker, like sometimes I'm very interested, sometimes I'm not. It's sort of a hobby. It comes up and goes. It's sort of random. Um, and yet, as you have more time with it, more commitment to it, more focus, it becomes like a flame, like guiding your way, and it's more, it's stronger. And sometimes you'll get set back and you'll need to do some healing and get some support, of course, and that's part of the journey. But that's a way of looking at it, of just strengthening your interests and solidifying it and integrating and going further.
Right. Well, and as I mentioned before, too, I know even when I started connecting more with the angels a few years ago, um, there was something in me that wasn't sure that they would want to connect with me. And of course, you would wonder, why not? And it is, we have those beliefs about ourselves
Mm-hmm.
that for some reason we're not good enough or whatever it might be. And then I realized also, which really changed it for me, is when I feel really drawn to one of these beings, it that there's a reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
And we know them. We have a family of light, and there are beings, some of them who we would recognize and we feel very close to now, even. And that really changed it for me, realizing, well, if I feel drawn to one or the other of them, there's a reason for it, because there's a connection there. It's not that that I'm just imagining like that would be great. There is an energetic connection to explore. And if you're coming from a pure place, they're ready to serve you. So it is quite a journey.
It is. In summarizing what we've been talking about today, that we'll go over 6 essentials for venturing into this next new frontier, which is exciting. One is opening your heart, more becoming that love on a daily basis in a balanced way. There's another quote by Tagore, the poet: "Love is the ultimate truth that lies at the heart of creation." And shifting your perspective, because this is very different from 3D, CNN reality, the mainstream kind of stuff that we are exposed to. So we need to go from, and this is really key what I'm about to say, from a victim to a creator. So when you're down, which happens to us all, you are in victim mode. You feel helpless, lost, as if you aren't connected with source, because at that moment you believe falsely that you are disconnected. And the idea is to say, and I like to just say, I am a creator. I'm a creator, and put my hand on my heart. That's a quick boost. And so there's shifting perspectives. There's opening to these vast resources where we've been talking about archangels, enlightened masters, the oracles, the Akashic records, and there's healing. You're going to do some healing, right? Healing blocks, your karma, so to get out of the victim mode. And that's part of the journey, right? That's why we're here. And this also comes into what's called balancing polarities, yin yang. So there's feminine and masculine, there's spiritual and earthly, different polarities that we explore in our training. And that is getting connected with, for instance, the masculine part and the feminine part, regardless of your gender, inside of you, and balancing that. So you're not too masculine, you're not too feminine, you're just right. The Goldilocks.
Just right.
Goldilocks effect. And finally, integration. You want to integrate all this. So like what you saw, Jane, that incredible demonstration we just witnessed a few minutes ago with Margaret, how do you integrate that? And the more you do it, the more it naturally, seamlessly integrates and shifts into your life. If it's something new for you, it might be really memorable, but over time, it will integrate much more naturally. Jane, do you want to say anything before we conclude here?
Well, just to me, the most important thing, whatever you do, is to follow your heart. Mm-hmm. And the heart is so important because there is a spark of the creator in us. And that is what makes us creators, is that we have that bit of the creator, of God, within ourselves. And as we open to it, that light becomes stronger, and then we are a blessing to ourselves and to humanity. Mm-hmm. Which is another really important part of this, is that the light that we share is the light that's going to change the world.
Right.
Because when you talk about, when I talked about the mass consciousness thought forms, that's like it's kind of like the water that the fish are in, and you don't even know you're in a fishbowl. Mm-hmm. But we can free ourselves from that. And the more we can bring that energy into that mass consciousness kind of fishbowl, that's going to change it, will elevate the vibration for everybody. So this is something that's good for us. It's good for everybody. It's great for your health too, by the way. Mm-hmm. Having more energy, life energy, is a good thing.
Yep. Your intuition. And we're starting our program January 10th on the Spiritual Guide Certification Program, and it's optional whether you want to get certified. You may just want to take it for the deep depths, as Yogi Berra said, that we've been discussing. And why would you join us? Well, you want the tools, you want the knowledge, you want the support, so you can become your own spiritual guide to amplify your journey and help so many more people and more deeply. This is a unique training. You won't find it anywhere else. It's very affordable. There's some special pricing going on. And we mentioned for the next 48 hours, there's a bonus if you join us of a free oracle reading. Jane or I will do that with you as an extra bonus. And you're going to learn the practices. You're going to learn sorry about that. You're going to learn the tool. Yeah, that was kind of nice. That was nice. Go back to that. That's sort of being in the spiritual guidance program, that feeling of spaciousness, like Margaret was referring to a while back. You'll get specific practices, some of which we're sharing today. We're introducing you to specific knowledge, tools, and support, so you can use this for yourself. And the Spiritual Guide program, which, as I mentioned, beginning January 10th now, it's a profound mystery school training. for self-mastery using angels, ascended masters, Akashic records, and the oracles. And we mentioned the special resources, that new book that we wrote on awakenings to your magnificence. I'll show it down. There's a description page here.
Somewhere.
Somewhere here. Okay. Awakening to your magnificence, your journey into the next frontier. So that's an overview and insight 80-page reference book for the program. There's gifts and blessings from oracles, angels, and enlightened masters, a PDF, a short customized training manual for using the tarot and the oracle decks that we'll be using throughout the training. The Ultimate Paradigm Shift, the book we wrote, and that's sort of the how to become, going from being victim to creator. And there's going to be a lot of handouts and checklists. And there's a bonus on being therapeutic, because some of you, this might be new also to, if you're going to be helping other people, there's certain guidelines on how to be connected with other people in a personal session that you'll get in that extra little guidebook too that comes with it. Jane, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, another part of it, which is part of our other trainings too, is that, and something we didn't do in the beta program, is we're going to have practice labs. So
right.
You will also have the opportunity to get to know other people. I know from our coaching and healing certification program, people develop lifelong friendships from meeting people there, because you meet people who you might not meet otherwise. And a lot of us would like to know more people who are like us.
Right.
So it's a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, it's a great rare opportunity, very valuable in itself. And I don't know if Margaret or Sunny, a couple people did take some of the beta training programs in the last couple of years. If they want to share their experience, this would be a good time to do it. And a lot of people are new here, which is wonderful to see new people. You can just kind of raise your hand or unmute yourself and speak
Margaret,
up.
Margaret unmuted.
Go ahead, Margaret.
I know I already said a bunch of stuff, but I really enjoyed. I took 2 of the courses, and like I said, I had not really been exposed to oracle cards in a general way before, but I really hadn't learned about the different masters and things like that, and I found it extremely interesting, and also had some really profound shifts. And 2 of the masters, Saint Germain and Lady Portia, they've become 2 people that I work with on a regular basis.
People.
Yeah, well, yeah, they are people. I'm sorry,
buds.
They are, yeah. And I
Friends.
also I come up. Yeah, it's interesting because it's amazing to me how when different masters or oracles, people, they come up when they're needed, what it is about them and what they bring to you. It varies, there will be times when I'll think I'm going to be maybe communing with somebody and somebody else turns up. And then I realized that's exactly what I needed at that time.
Right.
So it's been really, really nice for me. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we use different targeted oracle decks, special decks. We've curated many decks, and we found the right ones for these courses, which I think you're really going to love, and we'll use them intertwining all the trainings and teachings and developing your intuition, getting a lot of ahas. It will be very magical, not only personally, but collectively, just being part of a group like this. Sunny,
just one thing that occurred to me, for people who have taken the beta courses, we're going deeper now. We have more classes, more things. So we're happy to have you too. And there's Sunny. I love you. I love you. I do love Sunny. I love seeing you.
Hi, everyone. Oh my gosh, it's so good to be here. I had the privilege to start my journey with Jane and Philip coming up on 4 years now. February,
wow.
It's going to be 4 years when I first met you guys. And well, I took the holistic life coach class twice. It was so amazing. First time I got certified, of course, and then the second year of it was personal healing. It was that profound. And then I got the ministry, and I became certified minister with you guys. I took a lot of things. I can't remember. I just remember the last one, I think, was Archangel classes. And one of the things that is really, really valuable to me is the energy that like we gather together. And thank you, Margaret, for volunteering. It's beautiful. A lot of healing happens. So it's just like invaluable. And I mean, your prices are so reasonable. And we're so grateful for that. I know I am for sure. So definitely looking forward to next adventure with you guys. I'm teaching now. But I teach at the college and I teach nursing. And but I'm going to take the course because I know even if I can't be present at the time at 2 o'clock, I can watch later. That was my only hesitation, is like I love being there at the time so much. So on the 10th I can, and then the rest of them I may not be able to. But I definitely recommend these two amazing beings of light. And they're still embodied, thank God. I feel like when you're gone, you'll still be working.
Probably. Thanks, Sunny. Great. Yeah, and just as a note, it's 2 p.m. on Wednesdays. That's Pacific time. And some people are going to be probably where it live, it'll be 1 a.m., because they're going to be all over. And the beauty is it's great if you can attend live, of course, but they'll all be recorded. So if it's a choice between not attending live at least all the time or whatever, or nothing, then just listen to the recordings, because you'll be part of the community and there'll be a class list and you can connect with people at the convenient time for you outside of class. And that's valuable to make those connections and find people like this.
Philip, can I ask a question?
Yes, Jenny.
If I can't attend because of the times, would you videotape these
Oh, yes,
ones?
they're going to be recorded in video.
In video. That's
yes,
good.
there'll be video recordings of them replays. Oh, yes, just for just accessible for members of the community of the course. Yes.
And can you remind us how many weeks? I forgot. And so
yes, so it's a 1-year program, but there are 3 separate courses, and each one is 4 months.
okay.
And they're meet 3 times a month, and there's 2 classes in 1 lab. Here's that first one, Abundant Living with Angels, Oracles, and EFT, and then the next 4-month, Opening to Your Soul's Magnificent with the Akashic Records, and the third course, Spiritual Transformation with the Enlightened Masters and Oracles. So all of that occurs with weeks off. It's 3 times a month, 1 lab, and they're all recorded in video if you miss any. And some people may want to just start with 1 course and see what that's like if they don't want to go all of it. Some people want to become certified, and some people don't. That's not important to them, but there is the option by studying the material, taking an open book test, and logging practice hours that you become certified. But in any event, everyone will get a lot of benefit by just the experience, which will be very hands-on and interactive and experiential.
Right.
Thank you. And the weeks are in the emails that you sent for the
right. You'll get
classes.
A schedule of which Wednesdays and which are times off. So
did you send that already? I haven't looked, or you're sending it later.
You'll get once you enroll. Then we'll just send you the list, and I can talk to you about that or send it to you ahead of time. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But it begins January 10th. It's 3 Wednesdays on, a week off, and 3 Wednesdays on and 1 lab. That includes 1 lab a month. They're about 90 minutes each.
Thank you.
All recorded.
Thank you.
Can I share?
So any other, yes, Bonita has a question.
Well, so when Margaret went to way up in her mountaintop.
Yes, way up there.
On the cloud.
I went up, and then I noticed like I'm bumping up against like a top, like it's a dome, like a cake dome, a plastic cake dome over. And I'm like, I'm not going up. And somebody handed me a knife, and I cut a hole in it, and I shot right up. Like, all right, I guess I'm taking this class. So
good for you, girl.
Guess I'm gonna be joining y'all.
Yeah, bursting on through. Come on through to the other side.
That's so funny because my word for 2024 is busting out.
Well,
There you go.
that's a good example of it. And we talked about freedom at the beginning of the class today, which may be a good time to close. It's been great being with everyone, and we know that some of the people will be with more in this training and or elsewhere. And in any case, become your own spiritual guide through this training or however you can. It's one of the most important things you can do to live fully, to have blissful experiences and beyond, and to do what you're here to do. So this is Phillip Mountrose. Jane, any parting words?
Well, just enjoy.
Enjoy the journey.
Right.
Is there a link to sign up?
Yes, if you go to back if you go back to the description here, there's a shortened URL, tinyurl.com/spirit-program, tinyurl.com/spirit-program. And that's a shortened URL to a longer URL that'll take you to that page, which at the bottom of the page you can enroll for the program. And there's some special pricing, which is going to be going up pretty soon, by the way, for the program.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, everyone, it's been great being with you. It's been fun. It's been enjoyable. It's been transformational. And stay tuned. More to come. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Blessings.
Blessings.
Thank you,
You too,
Jane and
Sunny. Great to
Phillip.
see you.
Freedom.
Great
More
to see you guys.
onward,
Love
upward.
you.
I love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.